another video this week, and yeah, today we are going to be looking at, we're going to be looking at 5 protectors that I value, and obviously this isn't in any means an absolute best list, but yeah, we're going to be looking at protectors, and essentially these guys, these characters, if you will, help protect your brawlers, your high DPS units, and your squishier units, and that way they can kind of ensure that they survive, so that way they can kind of get their energy up, and then they can land their ultimates, or they can heal. Protectors work in a wide array of situations. I use them in so many different situations: Blitz, Arena, Alliance Wars, you name it. And again, this list that I'm kind of preparing for you guys in this video isn't in any means an absolute best list. It's just in my personal opinion, and obviously why I deem and why I rank them that way. So yeah, I hope this helps you guys out. And again, I do kind of build this list on the free-to-play, on a basis for the free-to-play audience, because obviously I myself am a free-to-play player, but also the majority of the game is free-to-play players, and there's only a small section that are actually pouring buttloads of cash into the game, and those would be the whales. But again, the game is meant to be free to play, so I'm kind of basing it off of that basis. So yeah, without further ado, that's enough jarbling for me. Let's get right into it. So we're going to be looking at 5 protectors today. First and foremost, should be no surprise to you guys, Captain America. I base him as probably the best protector in the game. Not because he's the most tankiest, not because he's got the most health or he's the fastest, but because of his utility. Not only can you also farm him easily, so he's easily accessible, especially when you're starting out in the game. Once you basically finish up Heroes Assemble, you can start farming him. Same with Nexus. There's multi ways you can basically farm him. So his accessibility to the audience, to the free-to-play audience, is obviously that's a key factor why I put him as number 1. The other thing is his dual purpose and his utility. So I mean, it's just he has a lot of different skills he can basically utilize, either with synergistic teams like the other Avengers, like Black Widow, Hawkeye, but there's also the fact that he's a good standalone character. He doesn't need to necessarily be in an Avengers team. I've used him in a few teams, a couple of theory-crafted teams, and he's still done and performed quite well. Obviously, his performance isn't as well if he's not with an Avenger, but again, he still performs very, very well. So again, so his first skill isn't anything crazy, but again, he hits the primary target, and obviously there's a good chance that he can get defense up. That just makes him even beefier. It gives him an extra defense. It's a second skill that basically makes him shine, and it's his Inspire ability. He gains taunt and basically allows defense up on self and defense up to all allies. So regardless or not if they're an Avenger, everybody's going to get defense up, and it just so happens if it's an Avenger, then they get additional energy, so that's great. So additionally, he can grant random energy to random allies, but again, obviously if you're an Avenger, he's going to maximize on that utility, and he's going to get the most out of this ability. So again, the recharge for this ability isn't that long. Again, he can pretty much do it right from the start of the battle, but again, implementing it with Black Widow and Quake, I mean, wow, it's just the synergy with that is just awesome, because Quake and Black Widow slow everything down, speed them up, and then obviously the defense up just makes everybody beefy. So again, really, really great skill, and this is what really makes him shine. Shield throw. This is a little underappreciated, but again, it's still a really great ability because of the fact that it's on a protector, and he can strip buffs. So not only can he chain the attack to a couple targets after it hits, but it clears positive targets. I don't have it maxed out all the way, but again, he can clear 2 positives from each target with the shield chaining off to other characters. So that's in situations where you're up against tanks, it's just phenomenal because of the fact that he can get that multi-purpose, and on top of that, he's a protector that can basically strip buffs. If you're playing up against shield teams, if you're playing up against teams that rely on buffs heavily, this really comes in handy. Or up against teams like, for example, the defenders, where they get a whole bunch of buffs from everybody, especially Luke Cage just taunting and defensing up, and it's just, yeah, it's a great utility, so you definitely want to utilize that as best as you can. And then again, his Assemble, It makes him beefier. It just gives him additional block chance and block amount, and obviously you get more health as well. But again, he really gets this ability to shine when he's with an Avenger. He basically gets more block percentage with each Avenger ally. So again, with each Avenger there, he's going to be tankier. Like I said before, he's not the tankiest protector, but in my opinion, he's slick, he's cool, and he's easily farmable, he's accessible, and his multi-purpose utility. He can taunt, and he can strip buffs. So yeah, that's why I rank him as number 1. Next character, shouldn't be a surprise to you guys either. It's going to be Luke Cage. Luke Cage is absolutely dynamite. I put him as a 2 because, again, with accessibility to the free-to-play, he is so easy to obtain early on in the game, even earlier than Captain America. So he will not only translate to late game as well really well, but obviously when you guys are starting out, or if you're mid-level or you're even late game, you definitely want to put your time and resources into Luke Cage, especially right now with the revamping of the Defenders synergy teams. Now Avengers have kind of lost steam, but now Defenders and Shield teams and the Brotherhood teams, those are the meta right now. So again, if you're putting time and resources into Luke Cage, you're not going to be wasting your time or resources, because he's going to translate very well into late game. The Defenders is one of the best teams right now in Alliance Wars, and that's a new game mode that's been released for a couple weeks now. But again, you're not wasting time or resources. I've been putting more time now on him. I didn't really level on him as much when the game first started, because again, I focused a lot of my time on the Avengers because I thought they were going to be the best team. But again, with the new synergy, the Defenders is actually, in my opinion, even better than the Avengers teams. So again, invest your time and resources into this guy. Same thing with Cap. His first skill isn't really anything to brag about. Again, he gets a chance to basically hit and assist if there's a defender, and obviously he gets that offense up with that bonus. Same thing with his second skill. Nothing crazy to brag about, but again, he gains taunt and he gets 2 regeneration. Also, this is a self debuff, so he can basically strip some buffs off of him, which is really, really great. And he applies regeneration to all defender allies. So again, it doesn't make a difference if you've got him in a obviously in a situation where he's not with his own allies. He still gets defense up to everybody, but the biggest factor here is he gets regeneration to the defenders, and that's where it really shines. In situations where you want regeneration to heal up some of the characters, raids, Blitz not so much, because again with Blitz it's more about dealing damage and dishing out enough damage to clear out the other side. But with raids, you want to make sure you last long. Obviously even in Alliance Wars 2, this comes in very handy. His AI actually performs quite well. So I mean, you guys have most likely either played up against Luke Cage or maybe starting to, but again, he always activates a skill because that's how the AI works it out with, and it always comes right after it always comes up usually as his first skill. He basically beefs everybody up and taunts. Defense up. Pretty much the same dealio. Oh, you know what? I got mixed up there. I'm sorry, guys. He usually activates his taunt after he activates his third skill. But regardless of what I said, it's a self debuff, and it basically gives him regeneration and heals defender allies if they're on your own team. This was the skill I was talking about. Sorry, guys. So this is the one the AI activates first. It gets defense up to all your allies, and obviously gives himself death proof. But again, he applies defense up to defenders, and obviously this is just amazing because again you're reducing that damage by 50%, and not only that, he gets himself a death proof, so that way he can't be knocked out when he taunts. So again, great skill, and then the AI does it quite well. They always activate defense up. So that's also one of the reasons why the AI teams, especially for the defenders, everyone puts them on the Alliance Wars as defending teams because they perform quite well. They heal, they dish out damage, and obviously if you've got Iron Fist leveled up to the max on his healing, every time you go back, you re-enter or enter into the battle, there's a percentage that Iron Fist can heal everybody up because it's an initial skill he has. But again, we're talking about protectors today, not Iron Fist. So I apologize for that. Again, he works great well with the other defenders, and again, obviously, no surprise here. Same as Cap, he gets additional bonuses when he's with a defender ally. So more defense, more health, more armor. So he basically just becomes a super tank. He's definitely, in my opinion, probably more of a tank than Cap is, but the fact that he can't remove buffs the way that Cap can, and the fact that he doesn't really provide energy to his team, that's kind of where I put him lower down on the totem pole. But again, like I said already, he's very easily farmable early on in the game, and you can also go to your Blitz store, and he's also easily farmable as well on there. You can get him there for 500 credits. So fairly easy to farm. He was one of my first characters I level up to 7 stars, so I don't think you guys will have an issue with leveling him up. It's just obviously with him, he doesn't do too much damage, and he is quite slower than Cap. But again, he makes up for it because of the fact that he can taunt for 2 turns, and he gives himself regeneration. Cap doesn't really heal himself, and Cap only taunts for a turn. So that's kind of where you want to draw the line, what kind of protectors you want to do. Regardless, he doesn't need to be in a defender's team per se. He can still act really, really well in a protector situation in makeshift teams. I've had him in several teams where I've coupled him with Yondu and Quake, and obviously he's just there to basically be the big meat shield while everybody can get their energy up, so that way you can land those AoEs. So yeah, regardless, Luke Cage is still a great protector and a great character to invest your time in, and you guys won't be disappointed. Again, like I said, late game he'll translate into the defenders teams if you're leveling up Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, Punisher, Daredevil, and all the other guys. And again, he works very, very well with the defenders, and he just becomes more of a tank when he's with them. So yeah, next character shouldn't be any surprise to you guys. It's Drax. Again, he's really tanky. I love how tanky he is. Again, he's number 3 on my list because again, really, really great tank, really great utility as well, because of the fact that he starts off actually with a taunt. So this is actually really good. So if you're doing Alliance Wars, or you're doing Blitz, or you're doing even Arena, and you know you're up against a team that you need to absorb some damage because you've got some slower characters, or you know you need to absorb some damage because you're up against a Brotherhood team, Drax will do really, really well because of the fact that he starts off with the taunt, and then his AI actually performs quite well. So again, you can find him in the Arena store. He used to be in the Blitz store, but they moved him over. And again, the moment you guys can start doing Arena, I would start farming resources into him because again, fairly easy to obtain. But again, if you're not doing the Arena right away, you do have to wait a bit to kind of work and build the credits up before you can basically start earning him. Yeah, so again, like I said, Drax is really, really great for that. He's not as easy to farm as Luke Cage, obviously, and Cap, because of the fact that there's no story modes or no other campaigns that basically allow character farming for him. But again, you can get him in the Arena store. Just for me in this situation, obviously, you want to be investing your Arena credits on other areas as well, and that's where I kind of ranked him lower, because again, most people would probably focus time on Scarlet, Quake, Daredevil even, right? But again, that's kind of where you're going to have to juggle and kind of decide and prioritize where you want to put your Arena shards. But anyhow, first skill isn't anything crazy about. It's the same as the other two. He basically just allows that drain. So again, he gets that drain from there. And then on top of that, it's nice because that drain actually allows him to become more of a tank. So he can be tankier, and he can get that health back. Yeah, and again, same with the damage, isn't anything crazy to brag about. It's a second skill. His AI actually does this quite well. He performs it basically right after he starts the round off, and basically you're guaranteeing yourself additional taunt. So he'll get a counter as well, so he can basically retaliate and attack back. And on top of that, he gets defense up. So it gives him more of a defensive boost as well. And again, this works out really well because of the fact that the AI performs him well. So the Guardians team is actually another team that would do really quite well on the Alliance Wars because of that AI functionality. You want AIs, you want a defending team that the AI can perform well because of the fact that obviously you want to limit that error that they have against with each other. So again, a great skill because obviously he gets the additional taunt to protect your characters some more, and obviously defense up, which basically makes him a little tankier. Good fighting. This is one of his ults, and it's great because of the fact that it allows drain, and he can chain up to 3 to 5 targets. So this is going to give him quite a bit of health back. Again, you want to make sure those obviously who he's using this move on. Because obviously it does a decent amount of damage as well, so that's good. But again, remember it does chain, so you want to make sure you can put it with a character that's adjacent to other targets. This will get him some health back. And like I said, and you guys have already seen this earlier on, it's his initial skill, which is obviously gaining taunt on spawn. I haven't leveled up his last ability to get additional drain because again, I don't find it worth the orange or the T5 mats or T4 mats. It's just not worth it right now. I've been focusing more on my Brotherhood teams with the mats, but again, Drax, regardless, is still a great number 3 protector because he can start with a taunt and basically protect your squishies, and then obviously you can activate his second ability, which basically allows him to beef up defense up and gains a counter and gives it's basically an additional turn to the to his other allies so they can get some energy up. And fourth character, and probably a little bit surprising to you guys, is actually Crossbones. I rank him as a 4 not because of the fact that he can, obviously, sponge damage, or if he's kind of a pseudo protector in my case. But again, he still falls under that category. He's great because right when you start off the game, you can basically farm him from a special event, and you can basically unlock him right away. And he's great because of the fact that you can farm him in the Blitz supplies, which is kind of nice. Blitz is fairly easy to farm him by, and again, it was easy for me to 7-star this guy. Fairly easy. I didn't really stress too much about it. But again, the reason why I rank him as a number 4 is it's basically his detonate. So I mean, it's a great skill basically where he does a whole bunch of damage to everybody. It's great in Blitz, it's great in Arena, it's great in Alliance Wars. He basically clears the board. If you bring him in and you've got a bunch of squishies on the other end, this move can basically clear the board for you. So again, I still use him. He's a great standalone character. Not a lot of synergy right now with him and the Hydras because obviously the Hydras need some work and I haven't really leveled up mine. But still, regardless, a great character to put your time and resources in. I definitely feel like his effectiveness has kind of staggered off from early on in the game versus to late game. So definitely keep that in mind when you're farming resources for this guy. But again, still, regardless, a really, really great character to kind of invest your time on early on in the game. His first attack, he can basically bring offense down so he can lower the damage off. And nothing crazy to brag about. Wrath, he gets a bit of taunt and a bit of health back. It's not bad either, but again, he's fairly squishy, and you guys will see that. I usually try to pair him with someone like Kingpin where they can get a defense up. So that way, if he's taunted, he can get a little bit of reduced damage there because he's basically got the defense up. Like I said already, his third skill is where he basically shines. He can basically release the skill from turn 1 if Cap gets him an extra energy, or turn 2 if he survives that long. So again, he's not any means a tank to protect. He's more of a damage dishing protector. And what I would say is pair him with another tank if you intend to use him as a pure tank, because again, you're not going to have much luck because of the fact that he is very squishy. His last skill is pretty much useless. I mean, really, you get additional health, but again, it really shines if he's got a Hydra ally. A Hydra ally they gain more armor, but other than that, I mean, it's a really kind of a crappy passive because all he does is he gets armor and some extra health, and I mean, he basically does massive damage to himself already because of the fact that he's detonating to himself. But again, I still rank him as a 4 because he's easy to get, accessible. Also, with the villains campaign, you guys will need a tank down the road. You're not going to be able to use Thanos because again, right now he's not farmable, so that's why he's not even on my top 5 list for you guys. And other than that, I mean, you look at Kingpin where you pretty much have to farm him from the last series on villains. It's either that or you start farming other characters like Hand Sentry, which I mean, obviously again, it's going to require raid credits, and I mean, with raid credits, you're going to need to be at least level 20 or 25 before you can start farming that. So again, even just basing it off the villains list for a protector, you guys have a very limited supply here in terms of getting protectors. So right when I started the game, I focused all my time and resources into Crossbones because I looked at the list and I knew it was going to be hard to farm him. So down the road, I did kind of invest time on him, and I found out that he was worth the investment. So again, I'm gonna probably level him up to 13 when I do get a chance. I've been trying to get the other pieces to get him there, but again, that's going to take some time. And again, like I said, this move will just dominate. If you compare this up with another AoE skill like Yondu's, it's good game. So again, I put those two together when I was playing Villains campaign, and again, it's just destructive. I usually try to put Yondu and Crossbones together, and they just do so much damage because of the AoE that they both have. So again, you won't be disappointed. Last but not least, for the protectors, and this will probably be a shock to you guys, but it's shield security. So I haven't got them quite to 70 yet, but again, with how good the shield teams have been right now, shield security has just been phenomenal. So right now, I've only got them at 31,000, but like I said, I'm trying to get some more time, and I'm trying to get as much cash as I can to kind of get them up to 70 right now. But again, obviously, money's tight everywhere you go. First skill, it slows down the target. Nothing crazy to brag about. It's his second skill. That's great because obviously, if you slow the first target down, he basically gets a stun. So as long as you can get a slow in there and it goes off right, he can basically stun and slow. And it does a decent amount of damage as well. So that's where it's really, really nice. The drawback to him is obviously he gets when an ally drops below 50%, he basically gets a taunt. So this skill is absolutely amazing. He gets a taunt just so he can protect his allies up, and also he can get a defense up as well, or additional block chance. Obviously, he is really, really great in the shield teams, but obviously, even in a non-shield team situation, still a great character to farm. He's not hard to attain, obviously, in the Heroes Assemble. So early on, you can start farming him, and you guys won't be disappointed. Also, on that note, because he's shield and you're farming him early, you're going to need 5 shield characters, 5 stars, 6 stars, 7 stars to basically get Iron Man unlocked. On top of that, you're going to need him again if you plan on even doing any synergistic teams with Nick Fury, and he is a must. So if he's on any shield team, you're going to need him on the team. So again, like I said, you guys won't be disappointed. Yeah, and having said that, so just to recap here, first choice is Cap, and again, pretty much as I already said, utility, defense up. He can basically be farmable quite early on in the game. Second character, Luke Cage, translates well into late game. Putting resources in him and time obviously as well won't be a waste because of the fact that he does translate to late game quite well. AI performs well. Very easy to farm. And you can also put blitz shards on him as well. So very easy to obtain. Third character, again, is Drax. Easy to obtain as well, but obviously it's just competing with other characters for those shards. So highlight of Drax is obviously his taunt, and he performs really well with the Guardians team. When you've got heals coming from Groot and obviously Mantis, he becomes really tough to destroy. So again, really great. He's got that drain, so it gives him additional health as well. But again, it's that taunt that he has when he starts off in the round, and that protects your other characters, and that makes him a very good protector. Fourth character obviously isn't really a protector, more of a pseudo protector because he is quite squishy, but the fact that he could detonate and do a massive amount of damage to the board. He is quite good because if he survives long enough and you keep using his second skill, he can basically get all his health back. So I usually pair him with another tank, and he does really quite well. Again, he can basically detonate from turn 1 if Cap gets some energy. So again, something to think about. And again, like I said, very easy to farm because of the fact that he's got Blitz, and he's already unlocked for you guys if you're a new player and there's a special event, Crossbones event going. Last but not least, as you guys already heard from me, shield security. So again, kind of undervalued, but again, if you're putting time and resources into the shield teams, you're gonna need him anyways. Obviously, because he's a minion, he lacks that fourth skill, which is kind of crappy. But again, hey, less resources for you to spend on it. And again, like I said, right now I don't have enough cash to get him up to 70, but I will. Hopefully when I get enough here. It should be either today or tomorrow. But yeah, his stun baton, he's great because he can stun. He's the only one that I basically talked about today that can stun, and on top of that, he basically has an automatic taunt when somebody hits below 50% health. So again, really great for that skill set. Yeah, other than that, I will leave you guys to it here. Thank you for listening. Those are my 5 top protectors. And again, I base it off of the fact that it's easy to get them. They're open to the free-to-play player base, obviously, and obviously as well just our utility. Again, it isn't an exhaustive list by any means, but again, it's just my personal opinion and why I deem them to be in that rank. Yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, please do. Other than that,